It was one of those things where like, this hurts and I'm mad, but mostly at me. I deserve this one.
Totally not wrong. Yes, you did.
This is Then You Ruined It, the podcast that will last until one of us makes it weird. Hope you have a short commute.
My son being in baseball has been such a wonderful turnaround for him that we decided, you know what? We need to double down and make sure my daughter plays sports too. She played soccer a long time ago. I think it was like either pre-pandemic or right during the pandemic. But on the whole, she just would rather go out and just goof off with her friends. And my entire house... This is an aside. This isn't the story I meant to tell, but it's the story I deserve to tell. My house, if you know what to look for, is a bunch of Taylor Swift albums, because my daughter has recreated all the Taylor Swift albums on the side of my house with chalk. And she's like, the rain will wash it off, but it's under the eaves, so the rain hasn't washed it off. But it's just made it faded enough that it just looks dirty. But if you get closer, you're like, oh, that's red. I get it.
I don't know enough about her album covers to say like accurately, I can tell what that is. So and if you're doing it in chalk, I'm sorry, it's hard to work in that medium and have it be detailed enough to be like, oh, absolutely, I can tell what that's supposed to be. Instead of just like, I think their house is rotting. Is this on brick?
No, it's on aluminum siding or vinyl siding or some kind of siding. It's on the side of my house.
Okay. Siding would piss me off. I don't care if it's supposed to wash off or not. That stuff doesn't wash off like it's supposed to. That would grind my gears.
Oh yeah, it grinds my gears a lot. I hate it, but at the same time, like, we'll tell her to wash it off and she just ends up getting a rag, getting it wet in the bathroom, going outside, scrub, taking it back, dripping across our floor into the bathroom, getting it wet again, going back out, and it's an even bigger mess inside my house that I have to look at, instead of outside where it just affects everyone's resale value.
What you do is get her a good My First Power Washer.
We did! We bought a power washer, and one of these days when it's not miserable out, we're going to make her go do it and power wash Taylor's face right off the side of my house.
Okay, you have to watch her, and A, you can watch her go, yo! Shooting across the yard because she doesn't know the power. Or B, she breaks all the windows on that side of the house, and it's your fault.
No, like everything else, it's Taylor Swift's fault.
Okay.
If her tunes weren't so catchy to the average American 10-year-old's ear, it would be fine. My house would be clean.
What album art would you rather have on the side of your house?
I mean, if we're really going to piss off the neighbors, some Marilyn Manson or White Zombie would be great.
Again,
Power Man 500, I think he had a cool album once.
Album art drawn in chalk, which I assume it's not like really fine chalk. It's probably like the really fat, like colored chalk.
Oh yeah, it's sidewalk chalk.
Yeah.
It's not like nice pastels.
Sidewalk chalk on siding. I feel like you're not getting the nuance. You're gonna be like, if I blur my eyes, I can tell. It's like, oh yeah, it's Bat Out of Hell. I can tell. Okay.
Yeah, Meatloaf would be good.
Yeah,
I think like as far as like pure classiness, like the Refreshments Fat and Fuzzy Big and Buzzy or whatever the name of that album was, that pinup girl, that would be great. I'd be okay with that. She can be on my wall.
That'd be like watching Cinemax late at night, or not Cinemax. Sorry, you get Cinemax. Watching porn late at night, and like, I think that's a boob. I'm gonna start jacking it. I think that's a boob. Nope, that was a foot. Oh man, I'm a foot guy.
That's how foot guys are made.
Yeah, and that's the crucible that they are forged in. The album art I would have her use is like, now that's what I call music, volumes 1 through 20. So it just says now. It's the lamest. I feel like there has to be a kid that like just got way into those albums and bought them all, and that's like all that's how they know music. Like they just throughout the years, that's all they know is what was released on Now. That's what I call music.
I mean, that's also how a lot of people learn music, because that's the music that was on the radio.
I wonder if they still make those. I imagine they probably do. I don't know. And B, I would like to go back through them and find like the volume where I fell off. It's got to happen at some point. Because, you know, I'd listen to probably like 1 through 5 or something like that. And I definitely knew almost all the music. And I think that also came out when I worked in the electronics section at Walmart. So I heard them all the time.
Yeah, you were a shill for them. You had to convince people that that was now what you called music.
I did. And then I had to go to the CD section and help them find it why it's in the B's for some reason. I don't know. Somebody put it back in the wrong place. I made so many people so happy by looking meticulously through the entire CD section, not where it's supposed to be, the entire thing, and saying like, yep, I found the last one. I don't know why it was there either.
I used to be not best friends, but decent friends with a couple guys who their dad ran the local video store. Not even like a Blockbuster or a Hollywood Video. This was just a literal local corner video rental place. And I was talking to him one time, and this mom comes up with her kid and hands him the video, and he looks at it, and he looks at her, and he looks at the kid, and he's like, "What video do you think you're renting?" And she's like, I don't know, some Land Before Time or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, yeah. We have some guys who go through here and put the wrong videos behind the wrong boxes. Let me go get you the right one," because someone had slipped striptease behind the kid's video box. You know, that old classic prank.
Yes. True patriots. That's what I like to call them. Because that's not porn. You're not giving them like X-rated stuff. It's striptease. It's, you know, it's something they shouldn't be watching, but it's probably pretty harmless. All told.
I think that there's nothing harmless about changing everybody's expectations of what to expect from Demi Moore for the rest of their lives.
I mean, with that one, I never saw the movie. I understand that it's pretty tame. You know, it's I don't think she's ever actually fully nude even, but the scene I think where she's like she walks on the stage and she's like strutting really hard and she rips off the shirt and has like pasties on or something like that, and boom, everybody was just like, whoa! Not that they didn't have a thing for Demi Moore already, but man, did that solidify it.
I think you're thinking of The Last Little Whorehouse in Texas.
I'm definitely not. Again, I'm pretty sure that one's not nearly as sexy as it sounds either.
Anyway, I wanted to tell a story about softball and baseball, so that's what I'm going to do. So rewind. Let's go back to that. All right, so we took my daughter to a softball practice in a training facility. Around here, it doesn't get nice enough to play outside early enough for baseball, so there are a lot of baseball training facilities so you can practice year-round. It's basically a warehouse with a bunch of nets and cages set up so that there's areas for people to practice. So I took my daughter to one of those the other day, and it reminded me of a time I took my son and my nephew to one, and my dad. But my dad could have gotten there on his own. My son and my nephew were dependent on me. So we got there, and it was most of these places, they have like lessons, and they have staff, and they have coaches, and there's all kinds of people there. There's teams practicing. This one was the sketchiest thing, but I loved it because of it. You would get your reservation online, you'd get the time, and then they send you a code. They send you a text that literally reads like a drop like drop instructions for the mob. They're like, okay, you need to go to this strip mall. Do not go to the front. The front doesn't open. If you're in the front, find where the Chinese restaurant and like the dry cleaners are. We're in between that, but we're on the back. Go in the back. Push this code in. It's after hour. It'll work for 1 hour and 1 hour only. And so then you can get in there, and they're like, you have to turn the lights off and all this stuff. So it's literally just you and all this stuff. So there's a pitching machine and a couple screens, and it had like one of those smart trackers so you could see how far the ball would have gone if you were outside and stuff like that. Very, very cool. So I'm feeding the pitching machine, and it wasn't... Some pitching machines have like an arm that throws, and some have like the two grinders that shoot it out. Two wheels, basically. It was one of the two wheels kind. And I'm sending balls through to my son, and he's batting. And my nephew's with me behind the screen like, can I do it? No. Can I do it? No. And I'm like, can I do it? Okay, later. Yes, I'm still trying to figure this machine out. I want to make sure you're doing it right. Like, I want to make sure I know what you're doing so I can tell you how to do it right so it's safe. He's like, fine. My nephew is 9. So I shoot all the balls at my son, and it's time to get a large chunk of them. I shot like 50 at him, and he's like, okay, let's let somebody else have a turn. So I'm like, okay, let's gather up the balls. So I go out in front of the screen, and I'm starting to pick up balls, and all of a sudden, smack! Right in the center of my back. My nephew put a baseball in the thing and got me right in between the shoulder blades.
So, curse word or no curse word?
Oh, if my dad hadn't been there, it would have been curse word. But there is something ingrained in me that you don't swear around Grandpa. So I stayed very clean. And Blamed only myself for not turning the thing off sooner.
I mean, yes, that is, it's like gun safety. Like, you know, you should not keep it on especially if a child's around. Like, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. It's like, don't go stand in front of it with it still on.
I know. It was one of those things where like, this hurts and I'm mad, but mostly at me. I deserve this one.
Totally not wrong. Yes, you did. I remember those pitching machines being in that league, and I always missed. And I was terrible at getting out of my own head because you see the wheel spinning, and it's just spinning so fast. Like, it's spinning like a wheel would on a car. And so you're thinking when it comes out there, it's going to shoot like mad fast out of there. And then still, you know, they haven't adjusted. So yeah, that's spinning. But then when it comes out, it's still just like, and so that the speed wouldn't equate in my head. And I'd be like, no, that's way too slow. Swing. Oh, damn it. Coach would be like, dude, you gotta chill out. You're way too fast. Like, yeah, I know, but the wheel and the spinning, okay. Yeah, I was like the only kid that struck out in machine pitch. It's like,
I was the king of machine pitch when I was 8 years old, and the ball was in the exact same spot every time. Oh man, I was so good at baseball. And then I went to kid pitch, where the baseball could be other places, and I sucked balls. It was so bad at why are you just looking straight ahead and swinging the exact same place every time? Like, that's all I know how to do. Worked so well for so many years.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Even when I got to softball, like in church league softball, when I'm an adult, by an adult, I mean, I still didn't consider myself an adult necessarily. I was in my late 20s, I think, when I started, but I've gotten out of the house. I'm married now. I can do my own things. I know how to do this. So I have to be able to hit a ball, right? Like, that has to have worked itself out since I was a kid. And this has to just happen. It's softball. It's slow pitch softball. They're not even pitching fast like the girls do in college. It's slow. Come on. And they'd lob it in there, and I'd miss. And I told my wife to videotape me, and she never did, which is probably for the best, because I want.
So she didn't want to have proof that she was like, married to that.
My phone fell out of my hand and it broke into a million pieces. It's right there in your lap.
My phone got so sad it wouldn't record. I don't know what was going on, honey.
So, yeah, I want her to record me. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm missing every time. What is going on? And, you know, the coaches would say the same things they said to me when I was a kid, which brought up so much trauma that I was like, okay, I can't be doing this as an adult now. But they'd be like, you know, keep your eye on the ball. Like, watch it all the way to the bat. And I'm like, I'm an adult. You can't tell me that. I'm doing that. Just shut up. Let me do this. So I go up there and get angry and swing and miss completely and just, struck out in softball again. This is so degrading. No wonder they don't put me in and let me play more. And the rare times when I would like connect, I'd send it way out in the outfield and have a real good hit or right up the middle. And yeah, those were amazing. Those were life affirming moments. But man, I struck out so many times and just and I'm sure if she had videotaped me, I could clearly see me just looking off into left field when I swung or something. Like,
see, you're closing your eyes and kind of protecting your junk with one hand. That's why you're not swinging good.
So you said you swung as hard as you could and just missed it, and you'll get them next time. But I hear you screaming, "Mommy, mommy, not in the cup, not in the cup." This is softball. We don't even wear cups. Are you wearing a cup? You know you don't need to, right? Also, keep your eye on the ball.
So when I was in college, when I worked at the paper, we decided we wanted to put together a co-ed intramural softball team. That sounded like a fun thing. It was towards the end of the year. We weren't as busy. We're like, let's go out for bang and have a good time out on the softball field. And so we tried to pass around the sign-up sheet, and we had enough guys to play, but only like 3 or 4 women signed up. So they're like, well, we need 3 more women if we're going to be able to play in this league. And the sports editor's like, don't worry, I got some contacts. And we're like, you cannot get people from the softball team to play intramural softball. That's that's the core rule of intramurals. You can't be on the team for the school and then go play against the the international students. You know, that's just not fair. He's like, don't worry, I won't. So instead, he got 3 girls from our soccer team who were very athletic young ladies. And we're like, okay, we are going to crush. We are going to dominate. Softball and baseball is so skill dependent that just because you're athletic does not mean you're going to be good at it. And the first game, we put our star striker at shortstop, and someone hit a grounder at her, like just a riddle roller, and she freaked out. She's like, I can't do this, never mind. And she's like, put me in the outfield. This is scary. We're like, oh, perhaps we have miscalculated. We put too much, we got the wrong ringers. Mr. Burns, we are not.
It's like the old Looney Tunes cartoons where somebody would hire an elephant to like watch over something, like be a bouncer or something, and then they'd send the good guy would send a mouse, and they would just use the bad guy as the hammer to kill the mouse. It's like, oh god, no. That's what I'm picturing with soccer star at shortstop. Oh, it's a tiny ball. Get away. Anybody at shortstop, softball or not, you need to have a practice at shortstop of like, okay, when this happens, you stay in front of it and you knock it down. That's your job. And so, yeah, if you get somebody that runs away from it and screaming, then okay, you're not going to be shortstop anymore. But I personally would so much rather be on that Bad News Bears team of like, hey, we know we got some holes to fill and this is terrible, or not going to be terrible, but some of us are going to be terrible. And when it would be like 10 or 11 guys show up that week, he would say like, hey, we don't have all our all-stars here. We all know that. We're just going to do our best, have fun. As soon as he would say have fun, I'm like, good. I'm good at the having fun part. Being good, not so much.
I'm great at enjoying this.
I'll have fun like a mofo. Tell me to dive and catch that ball or stay in front of it. That's not my forte.
But the cheers. Oh, I know all the cheers. You got a piece of it. Now get the rest of it. Get the R-E-S-T best of it.
Never heard that one, but that absolutely applies to me. Except, well, that's not true because I rarely would I get a piece of it.
Yeah, your team's like, no, we chant that all the time when people fell off. You just never do.
Yeah. No, I would strike out so much that if I did get a piece of it, they'd be like, there you go. Now you've seen it. Now you got it. And then the next one would be a strike that I would completely miss. And it's like, but I made contact. So the next one should have been like a real dinger. And I still missed. Why'd I miss? Because you took your eye off the ball. Mother! Yeah, there's definitely times I had to remind myself, A, this is church softball. Nobody's getting paid for this. Chill out. And B, watch the freaking ball. If I could time travel, I'd be the loser that wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'd definitely go back and, like right the wrongs and fix this problem back in the past. It's like, no, I'd go watch myself on the softball field. Be the jackhole way out by the fence that's yelling, keep your eye on the damn ball. Who's heckling me out there? I don't remember this before.
All of a sudden, you in the outfield heckling do remember. You're like, oh, this makes sense.
Exactly.
Now.
The loop is closed now. Doc is like, you can't interact with yourself, Jason. I'm like, no, that's not going to be a problem. I'm just going to yell at myself. I'll never be seen. Don't worry. I'll get back in the DeLorean. I'll have plenty of time. I just have to go make sure I know that I suck at softball. Definitively.
You should teach yourself to not suck. Maybe you would be like the hot shot big man on campus right now if you knew how to play softball good.
Put on like a big bushy mustache and just wear sunglasses and a hat. Never let myself
You're finally
know.
going to actually record yourself. You actually record yourself, grit your teeth, get through the pain of watching yourself, and like, see, you're not looking at the ball.
My final note here would be, if I went back in time and had any interaction with myself, I can't imagine the only reaction isn't just, oh my God, what a goober. How did you land a woman? What the hell? I have got to change everything about myself. I suck.
Okay, I honestly couldn't tell which version of you was talking to which version of you.
Damn, that's cold. Also, good point.
Seriously, Jason, you ruined it. If you want to express your displeasure with him, me, or the show in general, you can find us on Twitter. I am at Idahobo, and Jason is at the Jason Sigler. We also do a webcomics review podcast called Digital Strips.